Hey, welcome. Here we are at Rise Up in Real Estate Livestream. Shayla Dean, special guests, literally
Right.
at her house. I just a minute ago texted her, like literally 5 minutes ago, and said, "Hey, Vince isn't going to be here today. I love you so much. Will you please come on?" She goes, "I don't know if my computer has charge or not. Let me go check." And here you are. Do we need to keep it brief because of your computer battery, Shayla, or what?
No, actually, surprising enough, it's almost full charge. So apparently it was prepared for this day. So you're good.
Awesome. So this is exciting because I would say this. I wouldn't say this if it weren't true. I've got three of my favorite people on here today on the screen, which is cool. I got rid of one that I don't really like, Vince. He just, he told me, he said, he's not sick. I'm going to just have to be honest. He told me, he goes, I had this thing planned and it was an hour different. And I've got a tea time right at the exact, and I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad for you, dude? I mean, I don't really. So anyway.
So I'm doing this because Vince is golfing. Is that what you're telling me?
No, Vince. He's got to be careful because he could lose his full-time spot if this goes well. So keeping that in mind.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Sit up straight. Yeah, sit up straight. So Shayla, let me introduce you. My son Lawton is on here. He's up there in the top. I don't know if you guys have met. Have you met before?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Meet you, Lawton.
You too.
Yeah, so Lawton has been with us. He's an agent now. And I legitimately, when he was in college, I had no idea he wanted to do real estate. When he was a junior, he said, "Can I get my license and maybe come work with y'all?" And I said, "I had a bad experience with my dad working with him, but if you want to try it, you can." So he's been doing it for about a year, had a great year. Ashley, of course, Shayla. You know Ashley, right?
Yeah, Shayla and I were snowed in Kansas City last year together.
Did y'all go see the comedian together, or did you go by yourself, Ashley?
No, I went by myself, and I was the loudest one laughing in that room. I love some stand-up comedy. It was fantastic.
Speaking of stand-up comedy, did you see, we just hired an agent, Ashley, that does stand-up. Did you know this?
No.
Down in Charleston, Carmen, actually, I saw on her social media, she had a picture with her arm around Robert Redford. Like she was an actress in LA, like legit actress on some shows that you've heard of. Curb Your Enthusiasm and a couple things you've heard of before. What's the series with all the fast cars that Vin Diesel was in? She's on that series.
Yes.
Yeah, Fast and Furious. So anyway, she's a stand-up comedian. But I was watching this thing the other day, the news, and there was a comedian who stood up to do his part of the show, and somebody in the audience had a heart attack. And they videoed the whole thing. The guy lived there because there happened to be two nurses in the audience. They resuscitated until the ambulance got there. The guy's like 88 years old. Well, the next day, the comedian's in the hospital room with the guy with his arm around him. They're lifelong friends now. But here's the weirdest part. The comedy club expected the comedian to get up after and do his show. Yeah. And I was like, how in the world, how could you make that transition? I don't know how that would even work.
Is that where the term "the show must go on" comes from?
Yeah, he did.
That's what he should have opened with. Yep.
Yeah, the oddest thing was somebody was videoing. I guess they were probably videoing the comedy show, and they left the video camera running when this whole episode was going on. The comedian literally was standing on the stage. I watched it for 5 minutes. He just had his arms crossed, looking right at all that was going on. He was standing right on the stage in the spotlight. And then after it was over, there he was back to try to do this show again. So.
Yeah, how do you even recover from that? Like mentally, how do you even recover from that? So good. And
depending on what your jokes are, like what you might have, I would be nervous about what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I should be more nervous always. Anyway, let me give a quick rundown, Shayla, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because this is, man, we're on the fly here with Rise Up in Real Estate. This is episode 2 of season 7, and I had an agenda, but Compass changed it a few days ago with a big announcement, or yesterday. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But episode 1 we recorded last week is live now on all the podcast channels. So the one we did last week with Vince, Ashley, Lawton, talking about all the things we talked about is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff this morning. This one is we're doing this live, and we've got people on here watching. If anybody's on there, let me go to comments real quick. Anybody on here just want to say hey and let us know that you're here? I'd love to see who's on. We're recording this one, and it will be the podcast for next week. And then next Wednesday, which I'm super excited about, we start episode 1 of 3. If that's just not confusing enough. 3, talking about the renaissance of Remax. And I actually have got, I recorded an episode with Chris Lim, one with Travis Saxton, and one with Daniel Dennis, one-on-one for an hour, talking about what they feel like is going on at Remax. And so I'm going to play those in this on the live show next week, one, and then for the next 3 weeks, we'll do each guy. And I'm really excited about that because this is really, really exciting stuff and good content. Young guys, I think everybody enjoy watching it. So we have, let's say we got Cindy Cobb on here. Great. We got Carrie. Carrie, I think, showing this in one of our offices on the conference room TV. We've got that happening in a couple offices. And then Deb Bramlett. Hey, Deb. This is our CMN genius, Deb, who helps us get the monies to the babies and all the crayons and coloring books, etc. Glad to have you guys on. And by the way, if you want to ask a live question while we're babbling on, please do, because that's why we're here. So Shayla, thank you for being here. Introduce yourself. Pretend like Lawton doesn't know you. Tell us who you are and why in the world would I have called you last minute to be on here.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure why you would call me last minute to be on here, other than you said that I'm one of your favorite people. So I am in the Midwest. I've been a Midwest girl my entire life. So I come to you currently from Lee Summit, Missouri, just right outside of Kansas City. I feel like last time I was on this, we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to refrain from that. They are in my backyard, not literally, but they're about 15 minutes. Same thing with the Kansas City Royals. So I've been in real estate for 19 years. I'm currently a broker owner of Remax Heritage. We have about 150 agents, 4 offices. So yeah, I've been with Remax and have known Tad for years. Things I love to do in my spare time, because I think this is important, because I think when we introduce ourselves, so often we get so caught up in, well, here's where I work and here's how long I've been in. I love to hike and love to be outdoors, because we're in the people business. And so we're communicating so much that sometimes just to be in between my own 2 ears on a mountaintop is just the absolute best. So yeah, Tad, how long have we known each other?
Probably 10 years, maybe.
Yeah,
9, 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
Shayla's a big proponent for the momentum ecosystem that we've run here for the last 12 or 13 years in our company. She also is one of the most devoted people to that platform of anyone that I know. Like, she is a true advocate for that and a cheerleader for it. Are there any mountains, Shayla, in Missouri?
No.
Don't they call it the plains, kind of? Yeah.
So
okay.
It requires me to travel, which I'm okay doing. But I wanted to let Lawton know. So your dad, I really connected with your dad. He spoke here in Kansas City for one of our momentum. We had David Scott out, and somebody had asked him to come up and do some like improvised comedy, right? And you had mentioned, oh, is anybody familiar with improvised acting? And I raised my hand out of the entire, and he was like, wait, what, you? So believe it or not, I took second place in state for IDA in high school. So seeing your dad do that, I was like, well, there is another crazy person out there that enjoys doing this. What is do some of the stuff on the fly.
What is IDA? Is that, don't they have a medication for that? What is that?
No, I'm not sure what you're referencing, but it's improvised duet acting. So it's 2 people. You go and draw, and then you have to come up with a comedy skit or a skit, over a course of 20 minutes. But no, I don't. I mean, there probably should be a medication for it.
Well, actually, there are.
But your son go, oh gosh, there's Dad again.
They call it up for other stuff. But yeah, we've got. Deb says it's all of us, and you see Tracy's on here. Tracy's our Director of Agent Solutions and Services. She says go Browns. I don't know if that resonates with you or not out there in the Midwest.
I don't even know who the Browns are.
Yeah, they won a game this week. They beat the Green Bay Packers, which Rennie wasn't happy about at all. Rennie, our broker in charge, was like, no good. When the Browns beat, it's not good. But improv is a good segue. Actually, it's funny. This is ironic how this has happened, and I definitely wouldn't say this if Vince were on here. I hope Vince is watching or listening, because we'll probably mention him a few times on this show today. All the 4 of us are pretty funny. Like, my son has the funniest Instagram. I was telling my wife about it last night when you were sitting on. Did you see his one yesterday, Ashley, where he's sitting on the on the bar in the kitchen. So Shayla, he's sitting on the bar in the kitchen, and he's just swinging his legs back and forth with his hands like beside him, just sitting there like, hey, I'm in a boring open house with no people here. And the caption was something like, it was something like that. It was so funny. Why do people only worry about the rates? I'm important too. No one ever asks how I'm doing. It's so funny. So you should follow him, Shayla, because he has a crazy, dry, funny sense of humor. Ashley's one of the funniest people. She's got one-liners like off the cuff. Isn't she, Lawton? Would you admit that on here that she's funny? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That one's sly.
I can't believe Lawton just admitted that. I mean, I am the funniest person I know, so yeah.
She's probably fourth on the call right now, but she's pretty funny.
He's giving you way too much credit.
I don't even know Shayla, so that's.
Oh my gosh.
This week I asked Ashley, I said, you sure to talk about how funny Lawton is. Who's funnier, me or Lawton? And then she like disappeared. Like
I tried to dodge it.
Get ghosted. She didn't answer me. Like she started coughing via text. Like I didn't hear you. Got a bad signal. I can't hear you. So thank you for
that. The best response for that, Ashley, next time is, you know what? I cannot confirm or deny that.
Yeah, I just said I feel like there's no great answer here. Oh, look, Suzanne. Suzanne is lovely. She's in our Charleston office.
Hey, Suzanne, so glad you're on here. So I might miss some comments, but you guys just keep, I'm going to put this different. You guys just keep doing your thing, and I'm going to put this up here. Okay, good comments. Now, so let's talk a little bit. And Shayla, your role, you're the a broker owner in a large organization. You've done all the jobs, I'm sure, from front desk all the way to recruiting to teaching, development, trash changing, probably done it all.
I was going to say cleaning, complaint box. Yeah, you name it, all the above.
Yeah, and you are going to PBS, correct? In a couple of
yes. Yeah. I just finalized that a couple of days ago. So
awesome. Well, I'll get to see you there. That'll be great.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk a few things, and I'm glad you're on here. And we got Lawton on here because he's a 1 year in as a real estate agent with some good input. Ashley, director of agent development, and has been in that role doing it great for several years. We have had a few changes in our industry recently. The last 24 months have been a grind. They would say, David Scott won't allow me to say the market is one way or the other, because we all know that the market is actually a result of your previous activities. And if your market is bad, your previous activities are probably lacking. But the consumer confidence has been different. Election doubt was certainly a thing. Now we've had a little bit of political and social uproar in the country with the Charlie Kirk thing that we briefly talked about last week that we're not going to go into again. We kind of all agreed that we need to stay in curiosity about stuff like that. Like, don't be so, be so definitive on it. I had a great conversation with Ashley, and we view it very differently. But it caused me to make a phone call to my son and say, hey, what do you think? And I didn't even know what he thought. I hadn't taken the time. So it was really cool. That whole episode last week made me do some things. But what I wanted to discuss, and Shayla, maybe you can add what's going on out there in the Midwest to give us a different perspective. The rates, the Fed came out last Wednesday when we were on the show and made a cut. And I don't quite honestly understand how it all, I don't think anybody does. I think it's like smoke and mirrors, how it all relates. I'm sure one person does, but that person won't talk about it. So there's a cut, but the rates went up a tad after that, but they've been going down a little bit lately. So what is your perception on how the rates have affected business in your market? What do you think is happening going forward? What are your agents feeling? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, it's always surprised me how we put so much into the interest rates, right, in conversations and in our decisions. We've talked to our agents a lot about be in conversation with your people, understand what their motivations are. There are some people that purchase when they feel that it's best because of the financial piece, when it comes to rates. But at the end of the day, that should be just a small part of their decision. And it should be a small part of an agent's, I don't want to say a small part of their conversation. Like, we need to educate our people on it. But there's so much talk about it that we really need to get back to the basic side of it is, why people are moving, what's the necessity of that, and talking through that with them. Because if you think about this, when I first got in 2006, I believe, interest rates were much higher. And, when they came down a little bit, that's when there was a lot of movement. When they go up, it's like even any movement downward, because it's in comparison to something that's higher, that's the challenge, right? It's what are they comparing it to? So before, when they were lower and they moved, it was like, oh my gosh. Well, even just the small drop has caused people, because now they're comparing it to something higher instead of something lower. So I think we're over the course of our journey in this business and people's journey in real estate, like they're always going to be comparing it to something. And it's just a matter of, let's get back to why it is that you're entering the market. And let's stick to that. Obviously, payment conversations and things like that matter, but I really think we put so much emphasis on interest rates and market and not really getting back to the basic need of real estate and why people are moving. So that's kind of my take on it. What's happening here? I mean, we're seeing a little bit, some things are, staying on the market a little longer than what they were before. But now let me make sure I say, when I say a little longer, you'll have an agent come in and say, man, this house, it's not moving. And I said, okay, well, share with me, like, how long has it been on? Well, it's been on about 30 days. I'm like, what's the average in that price point currently? Go back and look, what's the average days on market? And they're like, oh, about 62 or whatever. I'm like, so you're good. You understand you're good. But what's happening is sellers are relating it to the hundreds of Instagram and Facebook posts of, oh, sold in 2 weeks and under contract in 48 hours, right? Like some of that stuff we did to ourselves, but it's just going back and looking at what is the market telling you. Just because it hasn't sold in 2 weeks, does that mean that something's wrong? Go back and look at what the average is in that price point. And if you're at 30 and the average is at 60, communicate that with your sellers. Like we're good. We're good. So
Isn't that Lawton and Ashley? Isn't that super congruent with what we talked about last week? Speak to those things a little bit.
Yeah, all the time. Getting agents to actually look at that data, like look at the numbers, justify information to people that have questions about real estate, and us being that source of information for them just shows our value. And just also, I think, like to Shayla's point, to not only hang your hat on rates, we have to be creative solution finders for clients, because it doesn't have to only be that rate that's driving their decision. If we equip them with enough tools to make good decisions that are just going to make sense for them, their family in the long run. So I think that Shayla's spot on with that.
Yeah, I like that. So you see Margaret, she's our director for hospitality in our North Charleston office. She agrees with you. I do have to ask, Miss Sarah 11, since you know that we're all gorgeous people, could you tell me who you are? Does anybody recognize that handle? I don't recognize that handle. I'd love to know who that is. Give us a name.
We love what they're saying. So
It's got to be one of Shayla's friends, because it's not. They wouldn't be saying that if it was one of my friends.
Nobody knows that I'm on here. Like literally.
But they do.
They do now.
They do. David is on here. We got nobody's speaking up, but we have some of headquarters staffs on here. People know you're on here, Shayla. This is a test.
I wonder if that's Sarah Schurter. That would be my guess.
Oh, yeah, it could be. That's exactly right. She just texted me and said, what the heck did you send me this link for? So now she found her way here. So, Sarah, is that you? If it is, welcome, Sarah. Thanks for being here. This is why you're here. Lawton, talk a little bit about what she said with you. You're pretty involved on social media. What do you like about or don't like about hey, I sold something in 2 days? What does that do to us as realtors, you think?
I mean, I don't think it's inherently a bad thing, because I think it's good to talk about the skills we have, but I think it's also, it can put you in a position where someone that you're working with might have a totally different property and house that's not going to happen to, and they might see it and expect that it is. So if I were to do something like that, I would put somewhere in there explaining maybe some reasons why that happened. Why? Because that also teaches about me and how I'm able to do something like that. But it also encourages sellers, hey, like, we got this sold in 48 hours thanks to my sellers cleaning the house or painting the inside, or like these things that they did to set it up. So when maybe someone sees me on social, they realize, oh, I could be doing these things that might be helping. But I do see how it could set up a conversation where you're like, no, yours is sitting for 30 days. That's not crazy. Like, actually, if you sell it in 60, at least in our area, I think it's pretty good, right? If you're getting the number you're looking for. So it does put you in an awkward situation sometimes. But I also think it can be done the right way to be a pretty cool piece of content to put out.
Can I jump in on this? Because
Absolutely.
I'm glad, Lawton, that you backed it up with skill. Because at first, when you look back over the course of the last few years, a lot of agents have been very effective in their real estate businesses, meaning a lot of people have sold a lot of houses, right? But they didn't necessarily do it based upon skill, based upon whatever. It genuinely was the market was providing a lot of interested buyers and sellers to them, right? And I'm not dismissing the people that were very intentional with their business or efficient with their business, but I'm so glad you mentioned skill, because that's the piece that gets missed is agents aren't talking about the skill. And I honestly think it's because some of them don't truly understand what skill, or did they even have a skill that they used, or was it the market that pushed, did we underprice the product, whatever it was, right? But I think you hit it spot on, is don't forget to share the skill of what it is that you're doing that sets you apart. Because the minute you just flat post sold here, sold, it's totally market driven. I'm sorry, but yes, get back to your skill and be intentional about sharing that, because they think going into this, you're going to see a lot of people that were effective with the lower rates not be as effective. Right now, they're going to come back to the momentum courses that people are teaching because they're wanting to know how to be efficient and really understand the business. So,
Yeah, excellent. Every time Lawton says something really profound like that, like what he just said to me, that was looking past the post. I wonder where he got it from. He's got a really smart mom, apparently, because that is what if we went on a campaign as realtors that everything that sold in 2 or 3 or 4 days, if we just committed to each other that we were going to say it was because the seller priced it according to my recommendation and not their emotion. I mean, if we heard that over and over and over, would it even change the public's view? I'm not sure, because I think a lot of times it's price. But very smart, very good way of looking at that, Lawton. I love that. Heidi's here. Hey, Heidi, you rock too. Anybody got the fanciest shoe collection of anybody I know, except for my wife. But second to my wife's not bad in the shoe department. You guys can ask questions too if you want. Hey, I should ask Lawton, how are you? I didn't ask that. We're talking about rates. I should ask, how are you doing? Since your post yesterday reminds me. What happened? Anything interesting happened in your week this week that you want to highlight? Or Ashley, anything happened? We talked about, or something, a hobby. Shayla shared a hobby. Let's you two share a hobby. Let the fans know you a little bit more.
Oh boy. In my free time, I play guitar and I sing, and I love doing that in whatever aspect that is. So that's something I like doing in my free time. I'll let Ashley answer her hobby before I say something about interest rates. So go right ahead.
I always struggle with like what my hobbies are, because shamefully I allow work to also be a hobby. So, but I do have something coming up. I leave tomorrow and head to Lake Anna in Virginia. I go every year with my former college roommates who are my lifelong best friends. 6 of us were on the same hall together randomly freshman year. And as it's scary to say, but that will be 30 years ago next year. Will be 30 years of our friendship anniversary. And we get together once every single year at the lake, and some of them are married with kids. And it's just so fantastic. We never leave. Everybody brings one meal. We don't drive a car again. We sit by the fire. We take the kayaks out. The kids fish. It's just one of my favorite weekends of the year. So I leave Thursday for that. So looking forward to it.
Is there some way that you can not turn your phone on while you're there for us, for our sake and your sake? You're not doing any work duties, are you, while you're gone?
No, because we have such a great team in place now. So Tracy, who's on this call, joined us exactly a year ago. She's been a huge value add to the whole team here. Tons of broker experience, quick learners. So now she knows South Carolina like the back of her hand also. And then Rennie, our broker in charge here in this Grand Strand market and in our Florence market. And so the three of us now, because we have three, get to share the load when one of us is away. There's always somebody that we just punt to. So I'll just shoot them a quick text. Can somebody call Lawton? He's got another question. So just kidding. Not Lawton.
No, you're not.
Lawton used to message me a lot, but he doesn't need me anymore. He knows it all now. So anyway, we can just share that. So it'll be very easy, Tad. You don't have to worry about me.
I love getting a picture from the, I think I probably still have them on my phone from your first campfire overlooking the lake. I'm so happy that you get to do that. And what a great, you weren't at Virginia Tech when they had the shooting, right? That was after you.
But I was still in Blacksburg, so I was still a local there. That was a terrible day.
Yeah, so you're a Hokie. And now in South Carolina, Frank Beamer, who was the coach at Virginia Tech for a long time, his son now coaches at University of South Carolina. So that's kind of a related football story. And by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-2 if anybody's taking notes. Just wanted to go on the record. I mean, you don't have to win the games at the beginning of the season, Shayla, by the way. You can win the ones at the end. That's the one that matters. And you watch what happens with the Chiefs.
Oh, we're watching. And you will be my first text if something turns around.
Yeah, they were one field goal away from being 0-3. That would have been terrible, but they made it. So congratulations, Lawton. What did you want to say about rates? Back to business. Sorry, we get a little distracted on the show.
No, I was just going to say the conversations that I'm having right now. Ironically, I have most of who I'm talking to right now is people out of state, and a lot of the conversations by email. And I think like what Shayla was saying in the beginning, like making interest rates just a part of what's going on. We were talking about this yesterday with buyer agency, kind of making buyer agency way more serious than it needs to be, and that's such a big deal. I think we do the same thing with interest rates, and interest rates are just another piece of the puzzle. You know, if you have someone talking right now, talking about putting an offer in and closing in 60 days, well, interest rate should be as big of a conversation about as Christmas should be. I mean, do you want to be moving right before Christmas, or do you want to be where you're at home for Christmas? Like, there's so many things. Do you have a kid getting ready to leave for college? Maybe you shouldn't buy yet. And I don't think we as agents, at least, you don't like to say, maybe this isn't the right time. But like, sometimes you have to have that conversation. And if the numbers don't work, maybe it's not at the right time. Maybe they're going to come down. I think you can also say, we've been waiting for a hot second for them to come down, and they're still not really. So like, maybe that's not something to be waiting on. But I love the idea of just making it a piece of the puzzle that is talked about the same as family and motivation. And Ashley's big on what's your why for moving and things like that.
Can you imagine if I said hot second? Like, it just doesn't roll off my tongue the way it does his, does it? I'm going to try it, though, sometime soon. I'm just going to say, rate's been there for a hot second.
I didn't realize that was even back. We used to say that years ago, a hot second. And I was like, oh.
Don't you have a 20-something-year-old child?
I do. 22. I'm not sure if
I don't know.
I will catch if he says hot second going forward now. Thanks to you.
I don't know that it's back. So don't take that as a, I don't know if it's.
Now you're backing up.
No, we're not sure Lawton is trending. So I'm not sure.
No,
he's not sure if he is either, because he's like, don't say anything. I don't know.
No, there's nothing about our family that trends. You should just know this up front, for sure. So I don't even know what the rates are today. I don't know if they've come down or not. I don't think they've changed enough to make somebody, move. It's all about why they want to move. Here's Suzanne, good information. I agree. She agrees with you. It's all about what is the motivation inside of a person. And what I love about the market for the last 2 years, talking about skill, I would prefer, of course, I'm not on the front lines every single day anymore selling, so maybe I wouldn't look this way if I was selling, but I think I would. I'd prefer to be in a skill-based market from an agent's perspective, because the competition is narrower. There's not as many people that can be proactive as there are people that can be reactive. And when you have a market that demands reactivity, which is what we had for the previous 3 years before that, in my opinion, it's easy to answer your phone. It's easy to write a contract. There are different skills. Like, I definitely agree that negotiation was a big thing back then, and figuring out how to take 8 offers to a seller and figure out how there were skills back then too, but this is really a skill-based market because you have to. And there's Shayla, have you seen experienced agents who just haven't have just been doing things like they have always done them, and it's been different the last 2 years for them? Their productivity. Have you seen a change in that?
Not necessarily, if I'm understanding your question correctly. Not necessarily not that they've changed what they're doing. If I'm understanding correctly, I did have an agent who'd been in for probably 5 years and is definitely running into some challenges now. So I think I'm seeing more of that because of the market and some of those things that, and again, like you said, it's not that it didn't take some skill, it did, but I think we got away from a lot of the very basic foundational things in the business and just were more reactive to it. So I think right now, several of the people that I've been talking to are kind of seeing it where it's a little more challenging now because they are having to get back to some of those skills that maybe when they entered in 5 years ago, it wasn't, I know it. We know that it's necessary to still build the foundation and do those skills, but that wasn't necessarily the message across the industry.
Right.
Can I add something to this, Ted?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Nobody's going to say no, Ashley. You know that, right?
And then I just get booted off the screen. You just see me drop off. So right now I am a consumer also, which is always great, I think, to be able to share those stories, whether our agents can share it as third-party information for their clients to say, one of the directors at my company right now is in this scenario. But even just for me to understand how the consumer really feels, because I am finally building a house and I fell right into I put it on pause because I was upset with where the rates were headed. And now I've seen just a little bit of relief, even though I already had hit go. And we're not at the stage of locking my construction loan yet, but I am now optimistic that it's going to come down, just a little bit. And every time I see that little drop, I'm like, oh, I can add in a fireplace now because I can now have a little more in my build that wasn't comfortable before. So I think that that's great to frame it. For me, it's not a question of am I going to buy, because I am buying a home that I'm actually building, right? It's now just what can I have in that build? And if you're, looking at resales or new construction that's already finished, all it is just where's my comfort level for what I can afford with what the numbers are right now. So I think that sometimes it's good to put ourselves in those shoes. And so it's not a question of do I or don't I buy? It's just what am I going to have now versus what might be in the next time I do this.
Yeah, affordability is a real thing. And I think we forget, Lawton's in the category of new home buyer, but we often forget what it's like to be, Shayla's just barely almost out of her 30s, but forget what it's like to be 20s and 30s because affordability is a real thing. First-time home buyers, move-up buyers, and what you said is when it comes down to thinking like that, like, hey, I can get a fireplace now, that it's different. It's different than it was. My rate on my home is 2.75%. And I actually tell people almost all the time, I would have never bought the house we're in if that weren't the case. So I wouldn't buy that house today. So affordability is a real thing. So I think what I think the general consensus is, and y'all can agree or not with this, is where we are headed. Like Brian Buffini has been saying for 2 years, it was getting ready to get better. And it just hasn't. We've all been kind of on this pause, right, with the rates. But I think that the consensus is that the Fed might cut one more time this year. Everybody kind of agrees on that. And if the rates were to creep into the fives, everyone is saying that's going to wake consumers up. I'm not sure why 6.1 doesn't and 5.9 does, but there's some reason the psychology of it in the fall and the spring could be very good. And I'm not sure everybody's ready. I'm not sure everybody's ready for it. I don't know how hard everybody's working. I think you just have to be ready because when it happens, then we could very quickly go back to the other side of the spectrum where now we're talking about multiple offers again. we're talking about affordability with pricing, because as soon as demand rises and supply stays where it is, the prices are going to go up or stay the same. Have you seen much price change in your market? Like, we're in a travel and tourism area, second home market primarily. But Shayla, what has it done where you are? Prices moving down, or are they staying the same?
I don't think there's much difference.
But
I haven't ran the numbers to see, but we're not seeing much. I think it's more of days on market that, are going up, but I'm not seeing much of the change on the
yeah,
price.
what do you spend most of your day doing, Shayla, at work?
Well, if my activities management system has my time blocks as so, retention is big. We can't get caught up in focusing on adding and all the other noise. That's, the people that have chosen to partner with us and the people that we have chosen to partner with us deserve our attention. So retention, recruiting, do operation things as well. So a majority of my day, I'm constantly got my finding radar on, but also focusing on the people in front of us and helping them hone in on their skill too. So,
And is office time a big deal where you are, or people mostly working from home? A lot of people in the office still.
yeah, we, for a short stint over the COVID years, which was so long ago, it seems so weird that we're that far past it. We still get a lot of people coming into the office. Now there are some that still choose to work from their homes or a coffee shop or whatnot, but there is a direct correlation between the people that we see consistently in the office that are intentional with their business. There's a direct correlation between them and the results that they have in their business. So,
yeah, Ashley, I'm so glad that we have Shayla. I'm glad we have Shayla on the call, because I'm hoping that you are refreshed, because you're so much in the trenches every day with talking the language, living the language that we have created here with the Momentum ecosystem. That when I hear Shayla talk, it's exactly how we talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is. Using all of those words, because words matter. Agents who are investing their time in the office and seeing that direct correlation, all of those successes and staying in their basics. Tad was just talking about, are you seeing more struggle even with agents who are high producers just staying in their basics? I had a conversation with a new agent not too long ago who said, well, I went ahead and picked up a couple shifts, waiting tables on the side while things are slow. And this flag went off in my mind, and I thought, let's talk about double down on having your systems really polished so that you're planting seeds now, and then as things are picking up, or they're picking up because you're investing in your business, you're ready to hit the ground running. So it's interesting to hear a different mentality sometimes before agents have been in the business for a long time. Or maybe it doesn't even take being in the business for a long time. Like Lawton understands this. If it feels like things have cooled off, then let's get back to our daily activities and choosing the right activities. Let's build out that strong foundation. And then as things are warming back up, because the rates hit 5.9, we don't want that to drive our business, but the reality is our phone is going to ring more when that happens. Let's be ready to handle 10 people at a time instead of being overwhelmed at 3 people at a time, because we have these systems in place. So I love that Shayla talks that language and shares that information. Also, it's great to have somebody else in the trenches also.
Yeah.
It's something that I have often thought about, and I'm curious of what your guys' opinions are. And Lawton, you may be able to chime in. You see agents choose to get into the business, and you see some reactionary here and there. And then you hear the comment, like you said, Ashley, is, I think I'm going to pick up some shifts, or I'm going to get a job. And I look at that and I go, okay, so you're going to pick up a shift. How many hours are they going to want you to work? And they'll communicate with you. And then you go back and look at the real estate business and say, have you committed to spend those same amount of hours into your own business most of them, the ones that are going to get part-time jobs or get whatever, it's like, you're not even spending that amount on your own, investing, excuse me, not investing that same amount of time in your business. So you're basically going and committing, 30, 40 hours a week that you're not even giving your own business. What if you gave your real estate business the same amount of time that you're willing to give to someone else? Like, it always baffled me how, I'm spending 20 hours here, but I'll go work for 40. Why not work in your own business for 40 or 60, whatever? So I digress.
No, and I have an opinion. I'd love to hear Lawton's perspective on
Yeah.
it, because I was thinking before you spoke there, Shayla, I think it's a choosing the career problem. I think when most people choose to do real estate, they don't look at it. They're opening an ice cream store, or that they are entrepreneuring. They own their own business. Like, most of them like people. Most of them like problem solving or helping. They love houses. I hear this all the time. But they haven't thought
Yes.
about. I know they say I love houses and people, and I'm like, well, stick around for 6 months. You'll hate both of those before the end of it.
You
But
could do it without a license.
I just don't think that we talk enough about in the beginning, and I'm guilty of this with Lawton, but I don't think we talk enough about it in the beginning, that you are choosing. You're not going to have a lot of fast rewards in the beginning. You're investing. It's genuinely an investment. Like when you put money in the stock market, or you buy an investment property, even a flip, you don't get the right away. But when you can go down to Olive Garden and work 8 hours and get paid $20 an hour and get a check for $160 in one day, wow. But that's an employee mindset, not an entrepreneur mindset. We don't talk enough, in my opinion, about that. So I'd like to see some of the people that are watching, and even have Lawton speak. Why did you choose real estate? And have that conversation with us. And what do you think, Lawton, about your peers probably that are running out to get a quick job or whatever? Just give us your ideas. Love to hear it.
Yeah, I think a few different thoughts. You actually did bring that up to me when I first started thinking about it. And I think that was really good to know that going in, that it's the same as, if you wanted to open a restaurant that wasn't a brand name, like you don't just pop up a restaurant and make tons of money, right? Like you have to invest into it, unless it's Chick-fil-A or somewhere like you can buy into a franchise. But knowing that you're starting something that you have to put stuff into it to get stuff out of it. A lot of time that's time. Sometimes it's money. The biggest thing for me was like, you talk about why not put those hours into working on your business in real estate. Well, I think a lot of times, at least in my shoes, someone in my shoes, like I don't know what to do with that time. Like when I first started the first week, there was nothing I could have done for 40 hours except for sit in an open house. And that's all I knew what to do. So I did that. But like, other than that, and you can say, call everyone on your phone. Okay. Half of them answer. That takes me maybe 2 days. Right. And I think that's a big thing you run into, is because it's hard to spend that amount of time on the business right away. When you have a couple clients, or you have people who you think might be clients, it's a lot easier to spend that time. And for me, picking open houses was like the highest time, lowest cost possible, which is what I was going for, because that's all I had, and that's money was what I didn't have. So I think that's a lot of the place that people are in, is like, I want real estate to be the big thing, the thing that I do. I don't know where to spend my time. And that's where the momentum and the talking about the conversations per day that is so important, because real estate, and this is how my brain works, is it should be an extension of our lives. It shouldn't be our job. Because if you're going to help at a community service project, you can have those conversations. It doesn't have to be walk up, hey, you want to sell a house? Like, it doesn't have to do that. But it's the life you're living. You're going to church, you're living your life, and the real estate's an extension of that. Now you have to do things that feel like a job. But like Ashley saying her hobby is work, that's just because her boss is sitting here. But that's what it should feel like, right? Like it should be fun every day. I don't remember who says the quote, but it's like you should be excited. You shouldn't have to hit snooze on your alarm. You should be excited to wake up to go to your job, right? But the biggest thing for me, and I think other people would resonate for this, is like, I don't know how to spend 40 hours a week let alone let's double down and put 80. Lord, I don't know where to put that. So that was the hardest thing for me, at least just some input from a 22-year-old then starting, like not knowing where to put that time necessarily.
No, it's good. I'm glad you bring that perspective, right? Because we were once 22. We're not obviously currently. So to hear you say that, there's a podcast out there. You should write this down, Lot, and this would be really good for you. So it's Simon Sinek. He interviewed a Harvard professor that teaches a course on happiness. And he made a mention in there, what if we started looking at our life as the career and stopped looking at our job as the career? What if we looked at our life as the career? So if we genuinely like to help people, then that's our career in our life, is to genuinely help people and spend, our time and invest our time doing that. So it was actually really eye-opening for me too, to go, yeah, my life is my career. This is my opportunity. It's not just in my broker role in real estate.
Yeah, we just heard a couple of baseball players and coaches speak from Coastal Carolina, and they asked them about balance, life-work balance. Mm-hmm. And to a person, they all said there's no such thing. And I think there's a lesson in that I'm like, I love Ashley's going on this trip, but that should be part of her life. And work should be a part of her life. It shouldn't be turn it off and on. And I don't think in America anyway, we often pick what we love to do. I feel like a lot of times people have a job and then they're working after hours doing their passion project. They're doing their second thing that they really love, but they can't figure out how to make it work, right? They're doing it late at night or they're doing it on the sides. And I think, Ashley, what Lawton said is a lesson learned for me and for the two of you ladies. If an agent were to walk in the room to you and say, I really don't want to go work at Olive Garden 20 hours a week. Can you show me what to do with that 20 hours to make it productive in real estate? I bet you both have an answer. You're both nodding your head. That's what Lawton did. That's what some agents do. But I think the disconnect is some agents don't don't buy in or plug in or buy in to what the brokerage has to offer. And frankly, some brokerages don't have an answer for that question. They would say, make some dials. Call your sphere. I mean, if I hear that one more time, and I don't love it when people say sphere the wrong way, sphere, the P sounds like an F. I just want to go on the record. It's not spear.
Me too, Tad.
Spear is what you stab people with, not your group of friends that are close to you or that you have influence over. That's sphere. But anyway, I just don't think everybody has an answer for that. But I'm very perceptive, and I do sit down, and actually you certainly do with new agents, and they're like, okay, they ask me that. What's during onboarding? So what's my schedule next week? Well, funny that you asked, because you don't have to clock in. Nobody's going to ask where you are. Nobody's going to call you and say, why aren't you at the office? But you know what? If you opened an ice cream store, you're responsible for that. You don't open up the doors. I just think it's a perfect picture. Just yesterday we talked about this, Ashley, in the New Agent Network that Tracy was leading, talking about having an ice cream store. Imagine if you did that. And we almost did buy a Cold Stone years ago. I'm glad I didn't now because I'm already big enough. Like I would be really big at that point. But
you probably like it at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to go there. But you have to open it. You have to get somebody you got to buy all the product. You got to hire all the staff. You better go out and market because people aren't just going to drive by and say, oh, that's a pretty sign. Let's go try their product. That's what we've done. But I don't think Robert Kiyosaki would agree. We don't talk about employee versus investor or versus entrepreneur enough. And I didn't know we were going to spend so much time talking about that, but I'm glad that we did. Margaret, I'm excited about. Margaret is our director of hospitality, and she goes, I just talked about that with a new agent. That means you've hired the right director of hospitality. Mm-hmm. That kind of conversation happens at the desk like that. I so appreciate that, Margaret. You've been such a great addition to our group. For sure.
I love that. Yeah, she's reinforcing the message. And that's what's so key about all of your directors and, staff members, whatever, I'm sure you guys call them directors, is that they're all speaking the same language because then that message is consistent. So it's not that they're hearing something, when they walk in front of Ashley versus Tad versus the same thing with our office, like that message is consistent.
we try, like Rennie does an incredible job leading a meeting every Thursday morning where we, the language becomes ordinary, right? It becomes part of what we do. And I think even we are asking all the directors to go through the momentum material, although they all have to take the classes. So they're getting it, they're hearing it. There's still a disconnect we won't talk about on this show. I'll get to it in another episode. But I wanted to talk a minute about, because I want Shayla's perspective. Shayla and I haven't talked about this, and you must. Thanks, Carrie. Carrie's our director of opportunity. And
Tad, while you're switching subjects at 10:58, if I disappear, I got to go actually start that new agent group. But yes, I'm down for the conversation. I'm here.
Yeah, Lawton told me if I'm not done by 11:30, he's got something to do. And I said, if I'm not done by 11:30, everybody else will be.
So, my battery might die at that point.
Yeah, we won't go. What I wanted to ask is yesterday, so this is how this works in our business. If you don't think something's going to change, just stick around for a minute because it will. Yesterday was a huge announcement that it looks like Compass, which was the second largest. I mean, it's the craziest thing. Like Compass is acquiring Anywhere, which Anywhere is the parent company of things like Christie's, Sotheby's, C21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, and the list goes on, Corcoran. Looks like they're merging. Looks like Compass is using all of their .com money to purchase this behemoth. If it happens, which they say it'll take a year probably for it to all, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to happen for it to actually work out. But it would be 340,000 agents in 120 countries, just like that. So it changes the landscape. Compass is the group that's been talking about exclusive, private exclusive listings, arguing with NAR about, hey, we don't have to put in MLSs, we don't have to put our stuff out there. We can have it private because we think it's better for the sellers. There's been this big discussion. Now they have 20% market share. Now that conversation has some buying power or convincing power. So Shayla, how do you see this? Does it matter? Lawton, if you even did you even know about this?
My friend ChatGPT told me about it yesterday, so a little bit, but y'all go ahead.
Yeah. So Ashley and Shayla, what did you know or have you heard? I just want to talk about it for a minute.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Well, I'm just going to be, I'm on board with Lawton here. I talked this out with ChatGPT quite a bit just to get a grasp on what was happening because sometimes there's so much information that it's hard for me to sort through. So it just helps me understand it a little bit more. So I guess painting the picture, this was very helpful for me in the comparison that ChatGPT gave me. It's like Marriott, where Marriott owns Sheraton and Ritz-Carlton and Courtyard, but then there's still Marriott hotels. But at the end of the day, Marriott, like the top of the pyramid right there, doesn't care which hotel you stay at. They're the ones that are gaining. And so that is now, I suppose, the position that Compass wants to put themselves in. But to Tad's point, now they're going to have a bigger market share to be able to, I think, voice how they want to see listings presented. I just don't yet have a good understanding of how that's going to look and what there has to be just so many things that's going to filter into to make the landscape feel a little bit different. And I'm not sure that I even have a grasp on all of those yet.
So I did not go to chat. I'm curious to know if you guys have named your chat GPT, if you confide in him or her. I gave him an identity. But anyway, I'm going to start with, this is just my opinion. This is not my opinion, is not to be tied to my office. It's not to be tied to Remax. It's not to be tied to anything that I'm affiliated with. This is strictly just Shayla Dean's opinion. At what point does Compass have the ability to say that that is what is best? Because if you go back and you look at the commission piece, it was buyers and sellers' choice. When you start saying this is what we are doing, you are eliminating your seller's choice. And to me, to say this is how, yes, you can say this is how we're choosing to operate, whether or not you work with us or not, but for it to not be choice, to the buyers and sellers, we are forgetting who we serve and why we serve. That's, to me, I'm looking at that going, it should be seller's choice. This should not even be a conversation, right? If we're trying to control, or like, ask yourself, why are you doing this? Is it to benefit your company? Or are we doing this because we genuinely feel that this benefits our sellers? History has the ability to repeat itself if we don't go back and understand the history of anything that's happened, right? And look at real estate as to why we came to the multiple listings, why we came to all of these things. It's to make sure that everybody had a fair advantage. You know, some of those things, it's just like, yeah, like somebody said, like it's a very specific agenda, but to me, it's goes back. What is the seller? What is the buyer? What do they want? And am I operating in alignment with that? Again, if it's my process and they're like, hey, I don't want to do that, then yes, we also have choice whether or not we work with somebody or not. So I don't know if any of that made any sense. I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen, but I just get so confused as to why this is even a conversation, because it should go back to choice. Because again, that's the same thing when you look at the NAR piece. It's like, did they have choice? Or did you say this is what we're doing? So your thoughts, Dad?
No, I appreciate you being the Pat McAfee on the show, because if you watch Pat McAfee at all, he always has a disclaimer at the beginning. He's like, this is just a bunch of dumb guys talking about sports, and it doesn't reflect ESPN. It doesn't reflect anything. Yeah. I've been thinking about it a lot because it's significant. I watched Jared James talk for an hour about it. I watched T360 did a webinar yesterday, an emergency webinar about it, and watched that and listened. And I think the conversations are the nationwide MLS is a real possibility down the road. The private listing, private exclusives might be a thing that everybody has to figure out down the road. But my big concern, like, it has to get through some regulatory groups first. I don't know what a monopoly is. I don't know what that. I do know what a monopoly is, but I don't know what, like, when something is like Marriott. Apparently, they don't have enough market share, even with all that they own. But to the public piece is a big deal. And it's interesting to me that a group that is preaching we need to have private exclusives because that's what sellers deserve, that choice, is going to also say the more we can acquire, there's only going to be one choice at the end of the day, and it's going to be us. To me, that's the confusing part. There has to be, and does that affect RE/MAX? No. Does it affect? It does affect a lot of things if this thing happens, because their tech is going to be gigantic. Their ability to scale AI is going to be a big deal. 340,000 agents. There's not, what is there, 1,000,007 or something, 6, 5, 4 now in NAR. That's a big number. 340,000 is a big percentage. So it is significant, but you're right. It's going to come back to, as Zillow is finding right now, because they're getting sued by the same company that sued NAR on something. It's going to come down to what's best for the public. And I think the thing that I want to encourage people to do, and I know, Ashley, you're getting to the end of your time, is like we are with everything, Ashley, last week. I joked with Ashley that we're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel today, but we're not. But Jared said something I thought was pretty cool. Jared James said, don't get so tribal. Don't cross your arms and say, that's wrong, we're right, they're wrong, or whatever, because public has a choice. And what you have to do is figure out, and Mandy and I talked about this last night, is our offering, what we offer, is it significant to the public? And if it is, bring the competition on, bring the collaborations on, bring all the mergers and acquisitions. But because if RE/MAX Southern Shores or RE/MAX whoever you are makes a difference in the community and has a purpose, then it's okay. But this will be an interesting ride that we're going to go on. There's going to be a lot of fallout. They actually have said that this isn't the last of it. Or what does that mean? Berkshire Hathaway, maybe. Keller Williams and RE/MAX, are they going to get together? Who knows, right?
I feel like we're talking about two individuals. Like, are they going to get together?
Yeah, you heard it here first. There's an affair going on between RE/MAX and Keller Williams. You heard it here first. No, but good conversation.
Well, I don't want you guys to wrap up, but I'm going to say thank you for having me on. Shayla, thanks for sharing those thoughts. Also, it gives me new things to think about. with ChatGPT, so that we can all get a little smarter together. And it was great to see all of you, and hope you have a fantastic day.
Have the best
Thanks,
time
Ashley.
on your
We'll see
vacation.
you soon, Ashley. Don't the other two don't leave yet. We'll wrap up. Oh, I have to kick you off. I don't think you can leave yourself. I don't know if you can or not. Let's see. Remove. There you go. Bye. I don't know if that was painful for her or not, but we just got rid of her. So anyway, it's been an hour. I don't know how we do this. I do know because I talk a lot. I try to get a lot of words in. Significant things. Shayla, thank you so much for last minute just hopping on. I mean, you're a wealth. I should do this every week. I'm gonna call you every week. Say, hey, you want to get on?
Hey, do you want to be on in 8 minutes? Like, just keep texting me and see.
Yeah, and I don't know what else you had to do for this hour, but it was very valuable for us to have you here, and I appreciate you I really do, coming on. And Lawton, you're always a breath of fresh air to hear your perspective, and I'm sure that probably the audience is learning more from you than from us that have been experienced because you're in the trenches every day doing it. Remember, this will be a podcast next Wednesday on Spotify. You'll see that on socials. And next Wednesday, this live stream will happen at 10, but it won't be live. It'll be a recording of a video that I interviewed Chris Lim, who is now the big cheese at Remax right now. And he's really a fascinating guy. You'll want to watch that. I may figure out a way that I can kind of be on there live and have some chat with you guys about it, like typing chat. I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna try to do that. So next, I'll send everybody the notice of when it's going to be and all that. But don't miss it. It's the Renaissance of Remax. I really thought it was cool when Jennifer Atkinson Lovett named it that, because Remax has been around for 50 something years and has really got an infusion of some new stuff going on. And Shayla, you and I need to talk about momentum and where that fits in this whole thing. But I like the idea of Renaissance Remax, keeping what's really good about the old and making it new again. And you'll be surprised some of the things that are happening there. I want you to listen in. So, Shayla, do you have any closing comments before we head out?
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the leadership that has come in, the energy, like Chris and Travis, and yeah, it's just been incredible to watch. I'm excited to tune in next week because I just have the utmost respect for what they're doing and how they're doing it. But no, otherwise, thanks for having me on. I'm glad I was in a position to be able to contribute. And Lawton, thank you, for your perspective, because I think it's good to hear. It's not good, it's great. It's great to hear other people's perspectives. So I'm walking away with something to think about as well.
Cool. Lawton, you want to drop any more knowledge?
Ditto. Nope, I'm good.
All right, guys, Rise Up in Real Estate, Rise Up Nation, thanks for being here for this episode of Rise Up in Real Estate, and we will see you down the road. Have a great day.
Bye.